Welcome back here to Silverstone, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Toby Moody, John Hydoff up here in the commentary box. John, you were standing in the back of the commentary box with Murray during the last few laps of that FIA historic Formula One race. It's as if we had returned to our childhood.
Tingles have not yet subsided, I'll be quite honest with you, Toby. He's lost none of his verve, can't wait for tomorrow for the longer race, and well done everybody at here Fisher and Motors for getting him back here to do that, because it was being piped out. What you didn't know probably was it was being piped out over the PAs. I drove around and people were literally huddled around the PA speakers. I'm shocked to hear Murray back in full flow.
And it was only a 7-lap race, but the other thing is I hardly got a word in edgeways. He was in maximum flow.
Did you expect anything?
No, I should have realised, John. It was excellent, and for me at least, those early 80s Formula One cars, for me at least, I only have one original poster on my wall at home, and it was what I got given when I very amazingly went to the Williams factory as a 13-year-old lad or something or other. I'll tell you the story. And I kept that poster, and then I took it back to a DTM race at Donington Park and got Rosberg to sign it. So I put it in a frame, and it's at home, and probably only a few people realise the significance, but I do, and that's the main thing.
Now, what about this lot that we've got out on track now? An hour's worth of, I think, what is going to be one of the real highlights. As you know, I'm a big fan of Formula One, but I like my cars with roofs on them and wings, or at least with covered wheels. The Innis Island Trophy race in association with Motors TV for gentlemen drivers, what we're calling the GT and Sports Endurance Masters.
We're going to get underway in a few moments' time with race 7 here at the Silverstone Classic 2008. We've got 11 races here today at Silverstone around the 3.2-mile circuit, home, of course, of the BRDC. Coming into this race, we have got Hall & Hall on the pole position. The AC Cobra going to be battling with the Lotus 17, an E-Type Jaguar, probably a lightweight with a Pizzarini. Interesting to see that up at the sharp end. An E-Type then a little bit further back, and a big banger pushrod then in 6th.
On the 4th row of the grid, it's all Jaguar, Clark and Fiskin, well-known names, with Minshaw and Stretton, more well-known names, and then another E-Type, Webb and Pearson. He's been doing sterling work already today. And one of my favourite, a Sunbeam Tiger, but a Le Mans Tiger with Chris Baton at the wheel, and he will be good value. Then it's the Cobra of Lynn and Clark and the other Pearsons in the 53 on the outside of row 6.
Row 7. Van Hopen with Weavers in another Corvette. Aston Martin, Austin Healey, another E-Type, an AC Cobra, and Blakeney Edwards in an E-Type. We saw him earlier in another Jaguar, if my memory serves me well. And Julian Bronson next up in the Chevy.
And the first Porsche only on the outside of row number 10. And watch for this Shelby Mustang coming off the back of the grid, or further back down the grid. Rolling start here, Toby.
Yes, that Porsche, very nice indeed. It's running as car number 1. James Lindsay, James Wood. That is a beautiful car in my eyes, at least. Of course, a 904, 4-cylinder, 2-litre. Rolling start here for our 60-minute race here, as we've got the number 37, Rick Hall and Rob Hall. They know a thing or two about historic racing cars. And it's actually not going to be a rolling start. I hope not, because we've got people standing on the start line in front of us. So that Porsche will bring them around very slowly, and then we will soon be underway. We've got 24 rows on this grid. And it's good to see, John, that we've got the traditional starting position for the grid, you know, halfway round Woodcote.
And isn't it nice to see that revive, Toby? Really is. And the size of grids that we're getting, they're stretching off so far round that you can barely see them. The Porsche safety car brings the field to a halt right in front of us, and at first glance you would think that the white AC Cobra on your left as you're looking would have the legs on the tiny little green Lotus on the outside. But these type of races, Toby, are absolutely famous for acts of giant killing, and it is, I think, part of the fun of these meetings that you get cars that have such different attributes on the grid together and racing wheel to wheel. Look at the Bizzarini, the 71 car. And there's a nice little MGB. There's the little Lotus. Looks tiny, doesn't it? Looks like a toy car. Almost looks like he's put a big key in the back and wind it up. And surely you think the Cobra is just going to blow them away. And look, lightweight E-types are plenty here, as you rightly said. And we're still waiting for cars to line up on the back of the grid. And there's a couple of people diving into the back of the grid. Now, I think that may be the reserves. That would be the 137 Alan Newton MGB Roadster, is it? No, it is not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's an MGB there. And the 15 should be... Well, that's not a Shelby Cobra, so there are some problems for some of the cars already as we go off on the green flag lap. 137 is one of the reserves, the red and white MGB. But I thought that said 15 on the little Lotus that came in. Nevertheless, they may not be starting. However, there are plenty that are.
There are, and we've also got a former British touring car champion racing in here. We've got Alec Poole in the number 23 car. Alec Poole in an MGB. What else would he be driving apart from a Mini, I suppose, John? Alec Poole, of course, so involved in recent years with modern motorsport, involved with Nissan. He was so instrumental in taking Nissan and Nissan Motorsports Europe back into British touring cars, and indeed the German Touring Car Championship when it was a 2-litre formula in 1995, 6 and maybe 7 or so, and of course in the British Touring Car Championship. Then in later years he was involved with Nissan's efforts on the Dakar, of which I worked alongside him for some years in the middle of nowhere. And I'll never forget trying to find Alec one evening, and he was in some tent, and they literally had the lump hammer out. You know, when you're in the middle of nowhere, you've got to get stuck in. But Alec now, of course, having done Tour Britannia in recent years.
Yes, big driving force in British motorsport, as you rightly say. And in fact, there's one of the Nissan Primeras just here at the back of the Jimmy Brown Centre, because it's one of the collection here to commemorate David Leslie's memorial celebrations that we had on Thursday evening. And we will be having a nice long sports car race that bears his name on Sunday evening that I'm thoroughly looking forward to for the group seats cars. Down through the last part of the lap, and we will be racing in just a few moments' time.
Warm-up lap coming to a close. This race 7, the Innis Ireland Trophy, a 60-minute race for GT and sports endurance cars between the years of 1957 and 1966. We've got some big V8s in this race, and we've got the nimble Lotuses, such as we have got on the front row of the grid. We've got the number 54 Lotus, Peter Horsman, Jack Nellerman in the Lotus 17. Only a little 1200cc engine, but battling against the Cobra of Rick and Rob Hall, who are on the pole position. 4.7 litres versus 1200cc. Mad.
But variety's the spice of life, as we said when we came back. That's the great thing about the older Formula One cars. V12s, V10s, V8s, engines with different cranks on them make different noises. You could tell them apart. You can see the yellow Corvette from the silver E-Type here, can't you? And
I haven't mentioned it once today, but I'll mention it about my two-wheel stuff that I did last weekend. That's what they've got there. They've got engine variety, and it works.
It does work.
Meanwhile, we get underway in just a few moments' time as we come around Goodwood. The Innis Ireland Trophy race getting underway here at Silverstone. Green flag underway as the Cobra charges down to the first corner. The little Lotus 17 gets swamped in the midst of the pack. The lightweight E-types are battling. The Bizzarini's up in third position. Other E-types nearly panel to panel. The Corvette is struggling as it comes out of Copse. A little bit of a wiggle from the Austin Healey, but the Bizzarini is battling, but it's no measure for the Cobra that leads.
There's nothing like torque. Torque is our friend for the Cobra that gets off pole position. Look at the movement on the suspension. This has been wowing us all day today, and just feeling for the grip from those really wide front tyres, but it is the Cobra that leads from the Jenkinson Young E-Type in second place, Bizzarini in third. The Little Lotus has dropped down to 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth position. It's that John Young E-Type that is under pressure at the moment, and the Bizzarini looking the one most likely as they come into store for the first time. And look at that down the Hanger Straight. That's outstanding.
Hard on the brakes into Stowe Corner for the first time. The E-Type's just feeling the grip. Oh, and a nice drift from that lightweight. And we've got the Bizzarini going up to second position. So then, the Wills Twyman Bizzarini started from fourth position on the grid actually, and it's battling up to second, but that E-Type's going to have another nibble and see if it can get up to second position. Still the Cobra leads. Oh, that's going to be brave. You're going to make that a very tight corner. They almost stop. Don't touch. No damage, please. And it just gives a chance.
Fiskin coming through in the second, the darker of the E-Types there, the 40 car coming through. He's just lost out of the Lotus, and what were we talking about at the beginning there, Toby? Light and nimble slips. I don't think Gregor even saw that. It's underneath his mirror line.
Never mind a football match being of two halves. This is a circuit of two halves for the Lotus. It's going to get murdered down the home straight in front of our commentary position. But just like the Napier Bentley battling against the three-wheeler Morgan in the VSCC races here, 24 litres of Napier Bentley against the little three-wheeler Morgan. The Morgan, of course, nipping at the heels like the Lotus is here.
Bizzarini just pulling out a car or two's length in second place. Remember, we've got the Cobra got through in the lead. The Lotus just trying to hang on there. Then the second group led by the Corvette, the big bright yellow Corvette. So Fiskin in fourth position, then the Lotus, Campagna in fifth. That Bizzarini has reeled in the leader. The Cobra just starting to slide around. I wonder if the temperature's just got a little bit too high for the Cobra's tyres as he's slipping and sliding around. And this time that's the Bizzarini that's made a little bit of a mistake. So Cobra, Bizzarini, Jaguar. Oh, tremendous stuff as the 33 Jag is very, very sideways. I think that's Alan Minshaw that started that car, the 33 machine.
Well, he's sharing that with Martin Stretton. It won various races in its history, including the Nürburgring 1,000 kilometres. That's the 33 car, the silver one on the left-hand side.
Getting a bit of hassle from the sunbeam.
We've got a tight battle here for second position, and probably soon to be the lead now that people are getting into their stride. They're getting a feel.
Interesting, isn't it, to see just how that Cobra is shot off the line as if it was off the steam catapult on the Ark Royal, but has just been reeled in a little bit. And Fiskin takes the quick line up the hill here and has got some tremendous momentum heading up the hill towards Abbey, taking the standard or the modern version of Abbey, of course, as they sweep through left and right-handed. You can just see in the top of the picture there the old circuit, not using that this weekend. Top five, absolutely, as one as they come under the bridge. And even in these cars, it's a bit of a leap of faith as you turn right again, just feeling for grip. And 1, 2, 3 cars won't go around that left-hander. Mistake by Fiskin, and here's the little Lotus. Watch this little car just at the back of this group of five. He'll have a look, and he's on the grass. Oh, has to back right out of it.
Well, he's holding his fourth position, but the little Lotus having a nibble. The Lotus starting from the front row of the grid. Horsman and Jack Nellerman. Nellerman, the Dane, in the Lotus 17. As we come onto the home straight, that Cobra's not getting away. The E-Type up alongside the Bizzarini. I hope the Bizzarini knows that the E-Type is there, and he does. So then, Cobra leads from E-Type. Quick car, that E-Type, diving on the brakes, and they look to be almost touching, but it was a trickery from the camera. The Lotus takes fourth back from the Fiskin car as they disappear over the top of the hill. They're beginning to break away from the rest of them, which is, there's Martin Stretton in the pit. He's sharing with Minshaw.
So
Minshaw's in
fifth.
Sixth position, so that's in the second group, John. You can just see them on the left of your screen.
Now actually, they've got by that big yellow Corvette, so 6th and 7th here. Oh, look at that! Minshaw giving it big licks around there, hanging it out right on the lock stops. This is tremendous stuff. I see the little V8 Tigers in there as well. One of my personal favourite. I can only afford the Alpine, and he's having a little go here with the Le Bon fastback, but the E-Type will surely pull away down Hanger Straight.
Well, as they brake hard, an hour-long race. but we're only 7 minutes in. Drama all the way. Here at Silverstone, this Innis Island Trophy race well and truly underway. 1957 to 66 cars. The battle here for 8th position as we look at the replay. Here's the little Porsche, but he's we're going to have contact here between one of the TVRs, and that's going to be the Alfa Romeo TZ1. But fortunately, they just got away with it.
Could have been expensive.
Yes, it could have been extremely expensive. Aston Martin coming down the back straight. This is the DP214 project car, the number 7 car. Wolfgang Friedrichs and David Clark. David Clark, of course, familiar to British circuits, classic racer, and formerly the sales director for McLaren F1 road car.
And that is a beautiful car. And for anyone who thinks that you have to buy lovely cars and stash them away under plastic, think again, and please look at this. Dust them off and bring them out. This is what they were built for. I know they're expensive, but there is nothing sadder for me, Toby, than to go into a museum and just see them gathering dust. A little touch there as the Porsche, I think, just squeezed by without trading paint. Aston just in the left of our pitch. You'll see him turn in about now. There he is. Very special car indeed, and great to see that out.
As the rest of the field car, there's Alec Paul, the aforementioned Alec Paul in the number 23 MGB, doing well, former British touring car champion and very much part of British racing scene. The Cobra's dropped back, so the Cobra has dropped back. The Hall and Hall car is now in 3rd. So then, leading, we've got the Jaguar lightweight E-Type coming towards and now out of our shot. Then the Lotus 17, my apologies. And still this leading group, 5 cars. Fiskin at the rear.
Yes, and Fiskin looked very racy early on, and now he's side by side with the Bitterini. This is tremendous stuff. Down the hill. Now, if there is anything that you need to give your co-driver when you hand over between 20 and 40 minutes, it's a car with some brakes left. So there will be co-drivers at the moment watching this and going, guys, come on, you've got another 50 minutes here. Take it steady. I don't want something with no tyres and no brakes. But Fiskin is pushing very hard indeed. And this is proper racing. No doubt about that at all. Proper racing. The leaders are only split by a couple of seconds. And you see, yeah, he's not worried about how much brakes he's co-drivers using. No, not there, Gregor. You can't get down the inside of the bridge.
And for yourself on Radio Le Mans, John, you're used to commentating on Gregor, even if he takes the Wimbledon line across the grass, or even the Lord's Cricket ground line across the graph. He did Le Mans in a contemporary car.
Yes, he has done, and I've always said, Toby, that anyone who can drive a classic car well, Peter Hardmans of this world, the Strettons, get into a proper car and you'll be able to drive it. Now it looks like the Bitterini's in trouble, indicating right and maybe just peeling off into the pit lane, and is doing. That was very, very courteous driving as John Newman goes through and leads. That's the battle 1, 2 and 3, and now we're left with Gregor Fiskin. There he is in the 40 E-Type in 4th position. 5th the Minshaw Stretton car with Minshaw at the wheel, and there's another E-Type, the 120 cars, the Nigel Webb Gary Pearson Jaguar, and there's the Tiger Le Mans, and this is a tremendous dice at the head of the field. And just look at this little Lotus having a nibble around the rear tailpipes, and look how little the Lotus is sliding around. And that E-Type looks great, looks spectacular. I like sideways, but it's not quick, and he's lost a bit of momentum. We just the little Lotus just disappear from sight for a moment, but I promise you it's still there.
Well, fastest lap of the race so far to the Lotus. It qualified in 2:14.1, and it's just done a 2:13.4 here on just lap 4. The Bizzarini's cried enough. I think that's the first real car that suffered with the warm conditions that we've got here. I think it's the brakes, actually, John, rather than any steam.
Might be.
Yes, they're looking at the other side of the car with fire extinguishers at the ready, pins out, hose pointing towards the brakes, but we'll keep an eye on that out of our commentary position. They're off in the pits looking at the rear of the car, but as we trace the progress of the leaders, Young in the E-Type, 3.8 litre straight 6. It could be a change of lead as we come into the complex.
Well, this is as close as he's been at this point of the circuit, Tom, but he has a dive down the inside. Superior braking, and can he get it stopped and turned in? You know he can. That was a super piece of driving, but the E-Type has to now just hang on to the back. He loses a few cars lengths here. That's not too much of a trouble. He's got to be there or thereabouts coming back on the Hanger Straight.
Well, the E-Type pretty well ditch hooking through the first left-hander as he came into the complex through Priory. Of course, the bollards that have been put on the inside of the racetrack at the stadium area at the next left in front of the BRD suite at Brooklands prevent the drivers from ditch hooking, holding on to the inside of the curb with the inside wheels as they hold on. Leading is now the Little Lotus ahead of the E-Type. John Young battling hard in second position as we now come into time in the race where we are beginning to lap. Lights on time.
Lights on time gives you an extra 2 or 3 miles an hour when you're coming up behind the lap traffic. The Alpha stays well out of the way. Now, how much of a lead does the Lotus have? Just let's hope that he can... Oh, he's gone wide! That's going to give the E-Type a chance to get back at him.
Welcome back here to Silverstone, ladies and gentlemen. Wall-to-wall coverage here on Motors TV this weekend of the 21 race schedule for the 2008 Silverstone Classic. We're currently on race 7, the Innis Ireland Trophy race, but we've had a red flag because this is why the 7th position Sunbeam Le Mans Tiger with Chris Bayton at the wheel went through Copse and it lost a wheel. And as Chris was leaping like a marsupial back to the edge of the racetrack, the wheel was still moving. Such was its momentum, and it spins like a coin and stops on the tarmac. Then we had a spinner. This was the Desmond Smale Julian Rouse MGB, but fortunately 4 wheels still on their wagon.
And also problems, as we saw, for the Bizzarini. That's, we're hearing from the pit lane, was flames from the right-hand side set the trim on fire, and there was rather nasty fumes going up inside. And also the 17 Lotus, John Woodley brought that car in with a puncture. Safety car is out. Full course caution, as our Americans would call it. The Porsche back in action. Everyone has fallen in behind, and the first thing that I want to congratulate the organisers on is they've picked up the leader and they've got it right. It's not difficult to do now.
I was listening to you on Radio Le Mans this year and you had your gripe there. I'm glad to see it in 3D now.
The soapbox is ready just in case. Now there's the 33 car, that's 5th position. That's Minshaw at the wheel of that one. Martin Stretton will take that car over between 20 and 40 minutes. So we're still just a little way away from that. So disappointed to see that Chris Bayton Tiger going out. It looked like it was having a decent run, and Chris pedals very well indeed. He's had a number of Tigers over the year. Somebody with a door open there as they come through the...
Probably keeping cool, John.
I think it may be, actually. It may be just as simple as that. It looked like the left-hand side door was thrown open.
Just to try and get some air through. Aircon, no, absolutely
not.
Quite rightly. Yes,
Into
I think it's,
the pits is the Cobra. Is that the 47 car? It is. The 37 car's in the pit lane. Now that is just a little bit too early for a standard pit stop.
And the Bizzarini's got back out. That's the car with the door open.
Still trying to get the fumes out.
It's the light blue car on the right of your picture there as we trace the Porsche. The number 71 Bizzarini, I think he's obviously out of order. They've picked the leaders up, yes, John, but there are some back markers in there, as you can see with that little Alfa Romeo, the red one, in 3rd position on the racetrack. Yes, it'll be warm in there, won't it?
Well, going slowly doesn't help. Less airflow, you see. Probably not even a blow-through fan on some of these cars. There's another one with the door open. That's the Gillian Bronson Barry Cannell Chevy Corvette.
There is aircon in some modern cars, particularly some of the rally cars that Ford sell into Saudi Arabia. They sell it with aircon out of Malcolm Wilson's operation in the north.
Let's go down to the pit lane. Diana Binks is on duty for us down there today and watching what's going on down there. Diana, what's happening with you?
Hello, John. Yes, I'm in the pits. I'm joined by Martin Stretton, who's having quite a busy day today. Now, the safety car's just gone out during this one, so what's going on?
Well, as Rick all spotted, you can't actually pit yet, so Rick, who was doing quite well in the Cobra, has now had to run through the pits and join probably the back of the tail. But the safety car's because the Tiger's lost a wheel, unfortunately. Nobody's hurt. But I don't believe anybody can pit until 20 minutes are up. And I've got to wait anyway, because John's the owner of the car I'm driving, John Minshaw, and he's got to do at least half the race. So he'll be in 30 minutes and 1 second.
So you can have a bit of a breather then before you have to get back out there?
A little bit of a breather, yeah. And then another one tonight, so it's a busy day.
John's been quite spectacular, hasn't he?
John is very spectacular, yes. He likes to play to the crowd, but he does it very well, and he goes fast, so that's the most important thing.
What does that mean in the terms of when you get back into the car after he's been out there?
Oh, he leaves me a bit of brakes and a bit of this and a bit of that, and I do the best I can.
Okay, thanks for the moment, Martin. Okay. Back to you guys.
Well, Martin makes a good point there. We saw the Cobra come in. We said it was too early, and he's lost a huge amount of track position. However, when the Porsche safety car comes around this time, no, it's going to be, what have they done, 20 minutes? Yeah, they've done 20 minutes when they come around this time. That's what's left, isn't it, on the screen?
Have they cleared the stricken sunbeam, though?
Well, I don't think there's anything in the rules that says that you can't come in under yellow.
We don't like big thick rule books, John.
No, we don't like
them.
There is the sunbeam Tiger Le Mans with the fastback bodywork, especially for Le Mans, and that is 20 minutes. Now, I'd be in now. Next time round, I'd be in, and I would argue the toss later, I think, if I was the team manager.
Well, it depends who's the quicker driver in a combination. Who's the quicker driver? Is he in the pits? Is he or she in the car at the moment?
The other thing is, as well, is if you do have an arrangement with the car owner like Martin does, that he does half of the race, any of his competitors who take the pit stop now are effectively getting a free pit stop. He's going to go in and a green flag pit stop in 10 minutes time maybe, and he's going to lose more track position. So this is a real tactical teaser for those in the pit lane. No pits to car radio here, of course, so it will be all down to what was said beforehand. And look, you can see one or two people are making some moves towards getting ready. However, the safety car lights may be off and are off.
Underneath the Daily Express Bridge, the Innis Island Trophy race for sports and endurance GT cars, 1957-66 here at the Silverstone Classic. Toby Moody, John Hindhaugh up here in the commentary box. It's a 60-minute race, and as you can see the time ticking away, we've just had nigh on 22 minutes of the race so far. There was an incident with a lost wheel off the 7th position Sunbeam Le Mans Tiger that caused the red flag to come, not the red flag, the yellow flag and the safety car, of course, to come out. So we will be racing in just a moment when these cars come past in front of our commentary position as they charge down to Copse Corner. Long way to go in this race. Technically leading at the moment, it's the tiny little Lotus 17, Peter Horsman, Jack Nellerman in control as they're now speeding up, and it's the white E-Type, the Jenkinson John Young car in second position. The Hall and Hall Cobra came into the pits thinking it was able to stop and change drivers, but it was unable to do so, so it's right at the back of this pack. It's got an awful lot of work to do.
We are racing again, and you just saw how the Lotus really nailed it coming through the twisty pits, and he's just got a little bit of a lead. The Bizzarini has had problems, of course, and is a lap back. There's the third place car. It's the 33 silver lightweight E-Type, and he's got some pressure from behind now. It's the 120 car. This is the Nigel Webb and Gary Pearson Jaguar E-Type, the red car, and he's fighting his way through. He's come from well back on the grid. He was on the inside of row 5. Meantime, we're starting to see some of the quick cars in the pit lane. Now, is that the Fiskin car that's come in? That is definitely the 66 Triumph TR4 of Michael Pearson and Dave Devine. And it was car 40 in the pit lane, so the Fiskin car is in. Gregor will jump out of that car and Clarkey will get into it. Now that's an early stop, so they've rolled the dice early.
Robert Barry, Steve Monk changing drivers in the 1965 Porsche 911. but the Fiskin car we're going to have to keep an eye on. It's probably just about got moving at the top of your picture. No, it's still there. It's the dark E-Type right at the end of pit lane. Meanwhile, Andrew McAlpine, Bill Wickham in their 1965 911 are changing seat. That looks like a Mustang, as indeed it is. David Bett, Steve Winter swapping places.
Now, we should make the point that, as in many of the two-driver races we'll see at the Classic this weekend, pit stops are not about speed. It's about safety, and they are timed. Oh, and off with a spin has gone the 24 Peter Van Herpen and Alexander Weaver's Corvette. He's managed to get that. Oh, dear. Well, again, plenty of power and torque. Let's him spin that around. Let me finish the point there, Toby. It's a timed pit stop, so to make sure everybody gets their belts and everything done. But I still think you'll make up a little bit of time by pitting under yellow. Now, here is the Fiskin car. This is the first car that made a pit stop, and that means that Fiskin is out. Clarkey is in that car, and we need to see how quickly he can get up to speed and watch where he rejoins.
A whole host of other cars in the pits, changing driver, a mandatory pit stop, and the pit stop window, of course, open. We are now into this race. It's we've got 35 minutes remaining. There is Van Luntschot, who is sharing the Austin Healey 3000 with Karsten LeBlanc, the two Dutch drivers there. Healey coming down the home straight, Cobra coming down the home straight, Jaguar E-Type coming down the home straight.
I do like to see those. The last time I was that close to a Healey, it was spinning across in front of me at Snetterton, and I was driving Pat Thomas's Capri. They do spin quite well, I'm afraid.
Now that should be the Hall & Hall Cobra, but it's a lap down.
Well, he's just trying to get his lap back, isn't he? Because he's with the side by side with the Lotus and the Please, Peter, be careful.
Three-wheeling through Stowe is the Hall & Hall Cobra, and he's got some work to do. Leading is the Little Lotus. Again, another fastest lap, John, 2:13.1, a full second quicker than he did in qualifying.
That's outstanding, isn't it? That just goes to show what the red mist and a bit of adrenaline can do for you in race conditions. And it's really important for him to keep that big Cobra behind him at the moment and just try and slow him up a little bit, because he needs to keep that gap. Remember that Cobra came down the pit lane but was too early by about 90 seconds. In has come the E-Type 116. This is Anthony Galliers Pratt and Patrick Blakeney Edwards E-Type, another 3.8 machine. Beautiful looking machine. And look, you see, look at that. 3-4 cars lengths just in the twisty stuff again. Tremendous stuff. He's got to keep them there, and there's going to be traffic, and it's going to take us 5 or 6, maybe even 10 minutes just to let these pit stops cycle through, trickle down through the timing and scoring screen. But we'll keep an eye on these leaders and see who decides to go in. I think, Toby, if you haven't taken the option to go in straight at the end of that safety car period, you've really got to just go back to whatever your plan was and keep pushing as hard as you can.
Well, leader comes past us on the home straight. Over start finish line, another lap completed, 10 laps already done. There is the Hall & Hall car, Rick and Rob Hall racing in that. They are a lap down. Second position is the Minshaw car, Martin Stretton soon to get in that silver lightweight E-Type. That's the number 33 3.8 car. But still, the smallest capacity car, nearly the smallest capacity car, is leading this race. That's the fourth position car in the pits.
Yeah,
the Webb and
E-Type.
Pearson car, the red lightweight Jaguar at the far end there. They're just checking something on the left-hand side, the rear left, and you can see Diana down there just preparing for the next link that we're going to throw to her. Give us a wave, Diana, come on. Hey, there she goes.
Again, no sense in rushing the pit stops. Check the tyre pressures, make sure that the car's in good nick for you when you send your second driver out, because it's not about speed. Everybody has to spend a requisite amount of time in the pit lane to make sure that you're not rushing. We do not want anybody going out without belts fastened up and things like that. Now, the yellow TR4 is the 66 car we saw in the pits earlier on. That's the Pearson, Michael Pearson and Dave Devine. Lots of Pearsons in this race. And the Bizzarini making back some track position and some ground after that nasty sort of fiery moment on the right-hand side of the car. He's way down the scoring at the moment. He's not even in the top 40, I don't think, at the moment. He may indeed have lost a lap. But that Bizzarini is a very quick car, and he will. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get back, maybe even to our top screen, which would put him in the top 20 at some stage. A couple of nice Chevy Corvettes there that we're looking at the moment. And red one, the yellow one is the 95. This is the Michael Campagne car. He's sharing with Allard Kalf, the motorsport commentator. Campagne started the car, and I don't think that car's been in the pit lane yet. No, it has not.
Julian Bronson in the 44 car, we believe, and he knows how to chuck a thing around, whether or not it's a pre-war ERA or something that we're seeing post-war and into the 50s and 60s here. Now, into the complex here, just approaching the halfway point in this Innis Island Trophy race here at Silverstone. Sun's gone in momentarily, a little bit of a cloud coming over us here at Silverstone on the home straight as they come across the line. Still leading is the Lotus by 2 seconds, but this battle coming over the line, Bronson in 6th, and then the 95 car in 7th, and the 81 car, that is the E-Type, next up in 8th place.
Now the E-Type's just dropped a couple of positions to those vets there, because when they went round last time, the E-Type was ahead of both of those cars. The yellow car's also lost a position, so in fact it's the darker E-Type of the darker Corvette rather that has made up all the positions there. I do love to see these cars moving around. It's wonderful stuff. Proper four-wheel drifting. There we go, thank you very much indeed, perfect example. Now the pit stops will continue. This is one of the 350 GT Mustangs in the pit lane, many of the drivers using the neck braces. The 181 is the Jeffrey Pattinson and Rob Lamplugh car.
Lamplugh getting in the car at the moment. He's driving many cars as always here this weekend, so is Pattison. He's already been in a 50 sports car race. He's in a DB3S earlier. Rob's Lamplugh, he's hopefully, John, got over his jet lag and he got back from Beijing yesterday morning. He drove straight here. There's commitment for you.
What, from Beijing he drove straight?
Well, not quite from Beijing, not quite the Silverstone to Beijing, but he drove straight up the M40 from Heathrow, and he was a little groggy, and he was pulling odd coloured money out of his pocket at the time, trying to sort out what was sterling and what wasn't. So hopefully Lamplugh has gone. Oh dear, there's lots of dust. Who's spun? One of the Corvettes has had a bit of a spin. The number 24 car, that's the second time that the Van Hopen Weavers Corvette has had a spin, but 5.3 litres of grunt has got it pointing sharp end first.
Now here is the leading car across the line. This is the Horseman and Nellerman car. It's Peter Horseman who's in the car. And it's John Young in second place, still in the E-Type. And then Minshaw in the 33, the silver car, which I think has just dived in the pits. Yes, it has. Third place car into the pit lane. So Martin Stretton is on his blocks to take over the third place car.
There we have a change of the drivers. Minshaw getting out, Martin Stretton, Mighty Mouse getting in. Minshaw just checking that everything is okay underneath the lightweight Jaguar. This is the car in third position before this pit stop. By the time everything is shaken out, it may well be that it will appear again in third position. He's got a big gap to make up to second. It's about a quarter of a minute or so, but do not underestimate the speed that can come from Worcestershire's Martin Stretton. He started with the VSCC driving, great big Nash guy, and of course then going on to win the FIA historic Formula One Championship in '95 in an ex-Stewart Tyrrell from '71. He knows how to drive. In my view, John, one of the drivers who, not if he had put more effort into it, but if he had met the right people and at the right time, could be a real big hitting household name.
Chris Scragg was into the pit lane, and he has just changed drivers as well. Rod Begbie and Roy Stevenson's Grand Tourer TVR, the 22 car. Not a car you see racing very much outside the TVR Owners Club, the Grand Tourer, but as you can see, a beautifully designed machine from the Blackpool concern. Still that 54 Lotus winning, leading disappearing off into the distance and taking advantage. Last lap, fastest lap of the race, a 2:12.1. So he's taking advantage of a bit of an emptier circuit to try and get a little bit of a gap. Jack Nellerman, who'll take over that car, no mean peddler himself. He's international F3 star, and I think he tried to qualify for a Grand Prix once in Sweden without success, I hasten to add, but that's no reflection on him and his ability.
More than us.
Well, yes. Please. Let's not even go there.
No.
Now, Bizzarini's in the pit lane for its proper pit stop this time, not for a flame out or a bit of a barbecue from the right-hand side. So that will be its standard and obligatory stop. And still the 54 Lotus is circulating. 99 in the pit lane is Paul Conway and Ed Mercer's AC Ace Bristol. And there is the Bizzarini. A bit of a dent in the car there, is there? Yes, just on the front right-hand side. I thought I saw a little bit of a nerf.
Bonnet up, try and let a bit of heat out from the engine whilst they're stationary for 60 seconds or so. Let the heat out, let the heat out. I'm surprised some of these mechanics haven't got any leaf blowers or something or other to try and put some cool air over the hot engines as the AC Ace is being timed and will be let out by the mechanic in a few moments' time. Great floods of cars pouring down pit lane here at Silverstone. Still, the Lotus hasn't stopped.
How are we doing
leads
for
this
time?
race. He's got another 5 minutes in which he is able to stop.
Well, I think they've made the decision, go as long as you can and try and build up as big a lead if you can when the traffic's not so bad on the track, and that's not bad tactics. All these, as soon as you get more than about 20-25 minutes, you have to think in terms of the endurance head and get the tactics right. There is the leader. Watch for him peeling off into the pit lane.
Now, will he have a stopwatch on the steering wheel? Does he know exactly what time it is? The answer to that, as John says, is probably yes. Does he peel in? No, he doesn't. He does another lap. Well, this has got to be his last lap.
One more. I think
got to be his last lap.
The
before he comes
end
in.
of this one, he's going to be very tight to do another one, and he does not want to go over because he will be penalised. Now, look in the background. There is the Cobra that started on pole position and shot off into the lead. A mistake, a tactical error by that car, bringing them in just around about 90 seconds early. And they lost all of that track position, almost a whole lap, and he's trying to fight his way back onto the lead lap now. And this Lotus is desperately trying to stay ahead. Oh, and off has gone the 55. This is the Manuel Ferraro and Diego Ferraro Ferrari 275 GTB. Beautiful motor car. It has fire, I think. It has, yes, it has motive power. He's kept it running, has he?
Well, there, you know how difficult it is to start a hot engine. They do not want to play ball. That's down at Stowe. He goes off and a spin. He probably just puts his rear wheels onto the grass and no chance at all to get that one back. And maybe he tried to do a donut and he spun again.
Let's go down in the pit lane and have a quick word with Roger Mills, who's just out of the 71 Bizzarini. He's down there with Dinah Binks.
Thanks, John. Yes, I am with Roger. Just talk you through Euston. Obviously, you had to come into the pit lane, had a few problems there.
Yeah, we got a great start. I think we were running second place, started fourth, and but it started getting a bit smelly inside the car, a bit of smoke, and I realised the seat material on the passenger side was starting to burn. So and what had happened, the exhaust on the right-hand side had fallen to bits, and it's heating up all the sill and the interior. So a bit of a moment.
So you do put yourself through it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. But the car's going great now, and I think Joe will make up a few places and get us a bit further up. It was a bit of a pity because I think we could have got right up there.
How challenging is it out there on the track? Obviously, conditions, it has been quite hot. It seems to have cooled just slightly.
Yeah, the conditions are great. At least the track is very dry and there's plenty of grip. So I think it's good, and it is hot. The car's running quite hot, and it's, as you can see, pretty hot in the car. But it's going great, and I'm lucky with the weather.
Thanks for the moment, Roger.
Leader into the pits. Leader into the pits. This is the Lotus 17 coming into the pits. It's got a lead of 6 seconds over the Jenkinson Young E-Type Jaguar, which likewise must be stopping. It hasn't.
No, it stayed out. The white car stayed out.
Well, he's going to be penalised because he's only got 2 minutes before 40 minutes are up, and Johnny's doing a 2-minute 12 lap, so he just can't do it. The guy that's now leading, who hasn't stopped. You have to stop on this lap, otherwise you're going to get your wrist slapped. The Lotus is in the window.
Sorry, Tom. Peter Horseman is out. Jack Nellerman, the Danish driver, will get in. Put the steering wheel back on. Again, don't think that anything that has gone wrong here. This is a leisurely pit stop, and that is quite normal. Nobody is going to give him a hard time for that because it is a timed stop. So what you do is basically you stretch out the jobs to do to fill the time that you have. Tighten those down. Thank you very much. Perfect. Take a deep breath. Let the engine cool down a bit. Push that button, select first gear, Jack, and we'll tell you when you can go.
Well, it's not quite like winning a Grand Prix pre-war and, you know, lashings of shandy being thrust in front of you, or pints of beer or something or other. Time ticking away, as you can see, and then they will be back and racing now as they go down the home straight. Right then, this is Martin Stretton. Stretton at the wheel of the E-Type. He's currently in 7th position, but we've got a lot of racing still to go here in this Innis Island Trophy, and if anybody can chuck a car around, it's Stretton. He learned how to drive sideways, did Stretton, in his pre-war Fraser Nashes and such like. Fraser Nash is very much part of his family. As he comes over the line, Stretton is going to be coming in 5th position,
yes.
But leading is still the Jaguar of Jenkinson and Young, but they still haven't finished, and they've only got a quarter of a minute to go before they're out of their pit stop window. That's a squealing.
I'm just wondering if this slipped in and we didn't see them, but they were the top 3. None of them I saw dive in to the pit lane other than the leader, but I haven't seen the 16 come round. Now here is a white E-Type peeling into the pit lane now, and I think he's just mistimed this, if this is indeed the 16 car.
This is out. This is out of our commentary box window.
It is?
It is. So he's come in, and he's looked, John, he's about 15 seconds late. Now then, it remains to be seen what kind of penalty he's going to get. But we were right that he hadn't stopped. Therefore, in my quick paperwork, I still have the Lotus as leading now that E-Type has stopped.
I'd agree with that. I will give you that on my rudimentary lap chart that we've been keeping here in
between your ears.
When I work with Jeremy Shaw, he lap charts a whole 4-hour race. It's quite remarkable to see. Yeah, very keen. Now I'm looking off to my right to see what happens when the Lotus comes through. In the meantime, let's see if this E-Type gets any kind of penalty. There is the leader. John Young is out of the 16 car. Andy Jenkinson is in.
I think that Lotus is going to not lead this race. I think that E-Type will be back on track and up to top gear before this Lotus arrives on the scene.
And he's got 2 more corners. Now, this is an official.
Slap on wrist.
I think, did I hear the word disqualified there? I think I heard the word disqualified.
So it's either a normal stop and a drive-through or a 2-minute stop.
So there's either a drive-through or a 2-minute stop. I'll go for a 2-minute stop. No brainer.
Absolutely.
No brainer. Oh, well, they are out of the front running then.
As through has gone the Lotus, through has gone the Pearson and Pearson 53 car. No, yes.
No, it's a 33 car. Stretton has gone through in front of us. Here is your leader, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Lotus that leads. The number 54, Horsman and Nellerman, the Dane,
Nellerman, yeah,
who have been driving this car so far. As we come into the last quarter of this Innis Island race, it's at the moment a race going towards the little Lotus. That should be the car that's going to come out on top, or the question. That's not an E-Type that is in the front running of this race. It's still going to be close by the time we finish the hour. at Silverstone. Martin Stretton on manoeuvres. The only way he knows how to drive a car is flat out. Now Stretton at the moment is in second position. He's got to make up 10 seconds to the leader of this hour-long Innis Island Trophy race. The leader is still the Lotus. What can happen? Meanwhile, Diana is down there in pit lane. Non-stop pit stop action, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes. Lots going on down here in the pits. But for you, John, obviously, you were in the lead at one point, but a very late pit stop, so that's caused you some problems.
Yes, I didn't see the inboard, unfortunately, until the last lap. So a tactical error, unfortunately.
Bit frustrating.
Yes, but well, there you are. What can you do? I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good race. I enjoyed being in the lead, and well, we'll see what Andy can salvage out of it.
Okay, thanks very much, John.
Bye-bye.
Back to you guys.
Well, the Sim Motor Racing is a matter of seconds. There's the leader, and it is Jack Nellerman who's driving that car. He's lapping some 5 or 6 seconds slower than that car has been going. Watching the background for Martin Stretton. It was 7.5 seconds. It isn't now. I think it's probably about 6 seconds. Watch the car in the background with the headlights. There it is. Now the next car up will be Rob Hall in the 37 AC Cobra. I think he has got a bit of a battle on his hands with the Fiskin car. There's the Fiskin car.
Fiskin car's through.
Fiskin car's through into third place, and the Cobra is slowing. The Cobra is slowing. The white car in the background was in third, so that's a disaster for them. And then it's going to be it's going to be the 47 car, which is, I think, another Cobra from memory. Yes, it is. Now coming up to take that position. That is not a happy Cobra.
No, well, there's something flapping on the left-hand side, but I think it's really only a piece of tape or something on the front left wheel arch. The question is, you're absolutely right, that Hall and Hall car, the car in third was third. It's now slipping down the order, and it's going to be limping, you rather fancy, back to the pits at the end of this lap. The question is, Stretton with a 7.5 second deficit to the Lotus 17. Can Stretton reel, by soaring at the wheel, him in?
3 seconds out of the lead last time around from Stretton. That will take the lead down to something around 4 seconds. And that is target acquired for Mighty Mouse. Once he gets the sight of that little Lotus, when it's just disappearing out of his view. He's got to deal with this traffic though.
Oh, he's halved the gap, John. He's halved the gap as he comes past us here at Woodcote Corner. Time, 11.5 minutes remaining in this hour-long race. There's your leader. That Porsche is a back marker, and there's second place. The gap now 4.1 seconds. It's probably 4 seconds. Spot on. He reeled him in by 3 seconds a lap. Stretton really in his element.
Now, the Hall and Hall car, Rob has taken over from his father, Rick, is dropping back now, as we said, so it's the Fiskin Clark car. It's Clark in the car in third place. He's not lapping any quicker than Martin, so he's dropping back. So who's next? It's going to be that 47, and there is the 37 car. That's done, dusted, hand in the air. He's in the pit lane, over and out, Wing Commander.
Well, the car, of course, that started from pole position at the beginning of this Innis Island Trophy race, coming into the pits, reeling. Well, they will be reeling on the back foot. That's a shame, that, because they drove that well in qualifying, obviously to get on pole, and now beaten by some mechanical malady, beaten also by the fact that they made a mistake coming into the pits too early. But they had actually got the time back. They obviously just drove straight through rather than stop with that initial mistake. But now
dropped all the way at the back of the pack, though.
Yeah, but he did do well to get inside the top 5 before the maladies have now struck. Meanwhile,
Martin Stretton continues his pursuit of Jack Nellerman. There is the errant Cobra. Father says to son, "What, you've broken it? I give you a perfectly good car." Rob's having none of that. Ooh,
dear.
No, don't have a look at that.
That looks
you can
like
almost
steam.
smell the Castrol R from there, can't you? Jack Nellerman then will shortly have the rear view mirror, which is mounted on the cowling in front of him, full of a silver lightweight E-Type, and possibly full of the side of it as well, knowing Martin Stretton.
I can hear that E-Type being played with on the throttle by Martin Stretton, and the number 33 E-Type, a beautiful shape, it? A friend of mine got married a couple of years ago and left the church in a lightweight E-Type.
Very class.
Very classy.
So Jack Nellerman completes laps 20. We have a timed race just on 9 minutes to go, and Nellerman, who once tried to qualify for the Swedish Grand Prix, is being reeled in by Martin Stretton, and that's another couple of seconds. Well, Nellerman's just stemmed the tide a little bit, but it's you feel a certain sense of inevitability about this, Toby. The only thing I would say that Nellerman has in his favour is that Lotus is nimble, and if there's a lot of traffic, he might just have the advantage.
And if it comes down to the last lap, the last section of the lap is, of course, the part of the lap that suits the little Lotus. Into the last 8 minutes of this hour-long Innis Ireland Trophy race. Martin Stretton in second position, but still leading Jack Nellerman in the Lotus. It's an element of inevitability. Oh, and right on cue, the back markers have turned up at the wrong time for the leader. Will that 275 Ferrari know that the leader is behind him? The little Alpha TZ is also having a battle with the Ferrari.
Nice.
They get out of the way. That's fair play to them. Fair play.
No, that was heads-up driving. Good looking in the mirrors now. Martin's got to get through as well. He'll come to the right of our picture, the left of that 275. Has he seen him? He has. He drifted. Just look how high that E-Type seems to be sitting off the ground nowadays. You can see the daylight underneath it. That's why it moves around. That's why we love it. Under bridge. Now, I think Martin Stretton there just made a very important move past that 275. He's almost on terms now. It's only going to be another lap, isn't it? If that, before we've got this battle for the lead with just on 7 minutes for the lead. We should mention that the Fiskin Clark E-Type is in third place, another E-Type in fourth, the Scragg and Kemp car, and the Lynn & Clark, the 31 AC Cobra, right on their tail as well in that battle for fourth and fifth. But obviously we're going to stay with the leaders for the time being, as Stretton even managed to get a little bit sideways. He comes on the start-finish straight. There's no traffic, there's nowhere to hide for Jack Nellerman now in the 54 Lotus. He turns in, and you just, well, there's Martin. Just look at how smooth he is, fingertips only on the wheel. It's like watching a cheetah after its prey, isn't it? It's
playing with it.
Yes, it really is one of those BBC natural history productions. A jaguar after its prey, of course. It
You wanted to that one,
I did indeed. I did indeed.
Whoa, he's going to spin it!
He's going to lose this. He's not getting that back. He's looking for where second place is. First gone. He knew. Oh, pressure. That's what happens.
Well, the other thing that may be playing out of his hands is the fact that as we approach the end of a 60-minute race, we heard earlier with the 50 sports car race that the tyres are getting that hot, they're getting quite balloony, and maybe there's just not enough rubber left on the tarmac. The tyres very warm here at Silverstone this afternoon, the weather perfect, but really not for the cars. They're going to be stretched maybe over the limit. Now the question is for Nellerman, will he be able now to hold on to his second position with an encroaching Clark and Fiskin car, the dark E-Type, which we will see if it is upon the little Lotus by the time we finish this lap. 5 minutes remaining.
It's John Clark in the car now, I think, but that is Martin Stretton who leads. 5 minutes to go. He'll think he was rather... Do you know what? I think he'd be rather disappointed with that just a little bit. Let's go down into the pit lane. Here's Diana.
Thanks very much, John. Yes, I am in the pit lane with Rick Hall. Now, you started on pole position today. Things were going quite well, but when I came to talk to you, your pit guys were asking why you came in too early.
Yeah, well, that's right. I started, and Rob, my son, was going second, and there was a pace car came out, and I read the lap before. I'd read the board at 14 minutes, and having to brake because there was a slow car coming in where the pit board was. Well, I didn't look at the pit board, but I thought that must be 16 minutes. And then the pace car, which was, I thought, took over 3 to 4 minutes, and I came in and I missed it. I was 2 minutes early, so I had to go out again. And thought I could hand over to Rob, who's a bit quicker than I am. And anyway, I had to go out again. Then came in the next lap, and Rob dropped us to 36th from third, and Rob came through to fourth, and unfortunately he's blown the head gasket. So I left him too much to do, really. So.
It's game over, but did you enjoy the race for as much as you were participating?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a fabulous circuit. There's just one corner that would be nice if they got the old Abbey back for the historics. But it is a fabulous circuit, and it's a very safe circuit. And this has been a fabulous event. And I've just enjoyed driving with Rob, my son. It's been fantastic, but I messed it up for him this time.
I'm sure he'll forgive you. Thanks very much for the moment.
Thank you very much.
Well, the cylinder head finally crying enough. There is our leader, 3.5 minutes to go. Martin Stretton, I think, as I said before, they're rather disappointed didn't have to fight for the lead on that one. I think Nellerman will hang on to second place. He had some 12 seconds between himself and third place, which is the John Clark E-Type, the 40 car in third. Bit of a battle going on for fourth and fifth position. The 47 and 31 cars, 47 being the Chris Scragg, Charlie Kemp Jaguar E-Type, and the 31, the Sean Lynn and David Clark red and white AC Cobra. It's going to be off the podium, unfortunately. They were in close quarters as they went across the line. It's the Fiskin car in third position. He's put a lap on that lovely, lovely Gallo Fly 275 Ferrari. And that, for me, that 40 car is the epitome of E-Type colouring. Might be slightly more Curiacos, the old flag blue. Looking further down, the top six is made up, by the way, by the 96 car. That's the 95 car, my apologies. The Michael Campine and Allard Caulfield. It's Allard who's in that Chevy Corvette, so they're back up into the top six now, and that's a pretty good drive for them. There's Jacques Nellerman in second place, starting what will probably be his last lap. It's going to be nip and tuck whether Martin Stretton gets another one in. If he's got any sense, he'll just ease his pace a little bit. Third place, Fiskin, or John Clark rather, now in that 40 E-Type. Not really making any ground, in fact lapping in the same 10th of Jacques Nellerman the last time around. So I think Martin Stretton is on his last lap at the moment. He's a little further round than this. Look at the big, big tyres on the back of that car. It's a classic shape. Slightly different iteration on the Stretton car. Tough 4, very, very famous car indeed. Very famous registration plate. You can see that the car just has a slightly different stance, a little bit of an earlier machine. Factory hardtop on the lightweight. It's got some traffic, but it's not going to be a problem for Martin Stretton. Took over the car almost exactly halfway through from John Minshaw. Now he has the remainder of this lap. He may just be on it to go for a further lap rather. He's got 20 seconds left. I look to the right, I can see the headlights. The clock ticks down to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. The checkered flag has been readied, but it does go, it does wave. The marshal there keeping us all guessing. Literally a second before Martin came across the line, out popped the checkered flag. And Martin Stretton and John Minshaw take race number 7, the GT and Sports Endurance 1 hour challenge for cars from 1957 to 66. Jack Nellerman will bring his and Peter Horseman's Lotus 17 home in second place, and it will be third place on the podium for John Clark, who will bring the car home, and John Fisk and Gregor Fiskin rather, who started the car. There it is. Still got a long lead Sean Lynn will be next up in 4th position, the Cobra. And Rob Hall with the 37 Cobra, sadly not finishing from pole position, but a 2:11 did at least have the fastest lap. But John Minshaw and Martin Stretton take the spoils, and the appreciation of a considerable and knowledgeable crowd here at Silverstone in that very pretty E-Type. We've seen some cracking racing today. Well, there's both side windows are opened, very, very close out there, and that will have been a physical as well as a mental test for all the drivers. Very warm in those cars, and you do, as you've seen, have to throw them around just a little bit. Delighted for Martin, doing a lot of racing this weekend, a real stalwart of the vintage and historic scene. It's not for nothing that he is known as Mighty Mouse. Let's check the results then. Confirmation of that Jaguar win in the Innes Island Trophy race by 14 seconds at the end from the Little Lotus 17. What a fine battle they put up. Jaguar on the podium in 3rd place as well, with Gregor Fiskin and John Clark. Then it was the Cobra, another E-Type, and look at that, Campaign and Allard Kalf back up to 6th position in the big Chevy Corvette, and Jaguars making up the rest of the top 10. Tremendous excitement, tremendous driver control, and a wonderful Innes Island Trophy race. Well, 1 or 2 people just stretching their legs and moving around to find another vantage point for the next race, which is the road sports car from 1947 onwards. This is the Sterling Moss Trophy race for historic road sports car. It'll be a 20-minute race. Martin Stretton is milking this slowing down lap. I've got to tell you, this is as slow as I've seen this car go. Although look, he now just shows off and still manages to get it sideways on his slowing down lap whilst holding on to the steering wheel with only one hand. Not recommended at home. He didn't get the opportunity to pass Jack Nillman in a straight fight as Jack just slightly made a mistake heading out onto the Hanger Straight. But a win is a win. There was a certain sense of inevitability about the pass. Just made it a little easier for him. Pulls that car into Parc Fermé. Should be the Lotus that you see through next. Just in the bottom of our picture. And look at that. The unmarked Jaguar taking the spoils in the Innes Island Trophy race for sports endurance cars pre-1966. Well, plenty of more excitement coming to you this afternoon live here on Motors TV, including a little later on tonight. We'll be racing some beautiful sports racing cars into the darkness. There is something rather special about racing into the twilight. Now, as we've got the winners in the Parc Fermé, let's go down to Diana for some comment.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, I have got Martin. Just caught him as he's just driven in. Congratulations from 8th to 1st. A good day.
It's been a fabulous day so far, really, really good. John drove a fantastic first half, and really, I suppose he gave me an easy win. Well, us an easy win.
Me an easy win, the fraudulent slip, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. I did all the work, really. Look at him, he's not even sweating.
Yeah, there's not any, you know, you're fine.
Child up, that was half an hour ago. been in showered by now.
But guys, great race, obviously an hour race, a great circuit here at Silverstone, and the car looks beautiful and obviously is good to drive.
It was fantastic. It's his first time out this year, so it's just nice to be back in it, the old girl.
Well, well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was just going to say, I haven't driven the car for a bit. It's great to be back, and it's a great circuit and a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure we'll be seeing you from the rest of the afternoon and at some point tomorrow, guys. Enjoy.
That's the way you do it. You bring the car back looking as pristine as it was when you set off from the starting grid. Well, we've been so lucky with the weather here this afternoon. 1 or 2 high clouds. It is very warm out there. quite close, but no thought of any rain. And as you can see, it's a real family day out here. Plenty of things going on away from the racetrack as well, the fairground and the various stalls, etc. Still to come this afternoon. Don't forget that next is that Road Sports Stirling Moss Trophy race, and we've got some Grand Prix cars, early 60s through to 78. That's the James Hunt Trophy race that you see there, starting at 4:20. The BRDC 500 Trophy comes along at 5 o'clock this evening. That's for pre-war sports cars, 21 to 39. Another 60-minute race, and we'll finish off the day at 8 o'clock this evening after a short break on Motors TV. We'll be back here live for the whole of the 90 minutes of the Denny Home Trophy. I am so looking forward to that one. That is for sports cars from 63 to 73, and that will race, if not into the darkness, then certainly into the gloaming. Here's our podium then for the Innes Island Trophy for GT Sports Endurance Racing Cars pre-1966. Gregor Fiskin and John Clark in third position. Coming to our end of the podium. In second position was Jack Nellerman and Peter Horsman in the little Lotus there at the far end. There they are, being presented now.
Thank you very much indeed.
And a hearty applause and congratulations from their competitors as well as the paddock. And our winners then, John Minshaw and Martin Stretton in the Jaguar E-Type. They don't look like they've worked too hard, do they? Nice to see the garlands for the winners. And the photographs, of course. Trophies up, gentlemen. How many times have I said that at race meetings? And I do like to see the fact that they are being gentlemen and deciding that the best thing to do with the bubbly is to take it home and drink it, or better yet, give it to the mechanic. That always used to be the thing to do in my day. Let's just remind you of one or two of the highlights from that Innes Island Trophy. A tremendous array of cars, all shapes, sizes and cubic capacities, heading out towards the rolling start. It was the big AC Cobra that got the drop on the Lotus, perhaps predictably. You know, a Corvette coming through in the background there. Campaign at the wheel. The Lotus, well, gradually picked its way through, putting a lap on the TR4A there. Always spectacular right the way through the field, with the TVR and the Alpha getting rather too close for comfort. Everybody on the pit wall just wondering when it was going to be their turn to play. Problems for the Bizzarini with a little bit of a fire on the right-hand side that caused that car to come in fumes in the cockpit, and more sideways action right throughout the field, Alpha and MGB. Then the safety car period. Chris Baton's Sunbeam Tiger losing a wheel and just brought proceedings to a slight cessation early, and then back off racing again with the Lotus 17 disappearing off into the distance. Pit stops in this race, of course, and they would play a massive part as the big Bizzarini fought its way back through the field. Corvette wars, not the first time the 24 would be seen spinning in the hour, and Ferrari 275 in problems as well. Good battle between the Healeys, who were tied together with a very short piece of string. Nice leisurely pit stops, all down to the tactics. And here is the defining moment when Jack Nellerman, under pressure from Martin Stretton, gave away the leads. The early lead of the 37 AC with a head gasket problem, and Martin Stretton taking the victory.